Welcome to another edition of Panther Sports Talk right here on WIU. I'm your host, Rich Moser, joined by EIU women's basketball coach Lee Buchanan. And Coach, congratulations. You guys are in the postseason for the fourth straight years in the NIT. I know that's when we talked a couple weeks ago going in the OVC tournament. That wasn't the goal of this season, but it still gives you something to play for here, and there's still some basketball left to be played.
Exactly. I mean, our goal was to get the NCAAs. We felt like we had the team to do that with a veteran club, but unfortunately, we came up a couple points short. And but because again, you're judged on the body of work that you do. We won the regular season, so it gave us an NIT automatic bid, and we're happy about that. And so now we're going to get to go play some more basketball.
And when you guys talk about playing more basketball, you're going to play on Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. This show, of course, airs before that. So people watching the show, we'd like to remind you to tune in and listen to Ryan Piers and Greg Lautzenheiser call the action from Columbia, Missouri. And I want to say, because this is how it's ingrained, Big 12 member, but Missouri no longer in the Big 12. Right. One of those teams that made the transition now, an SEC member. So, but even though the conference changed, still a team that you guys are familiar with and have played a couple times the last couple years.
Yeah, it's amazing. When we pulled their roster up, I mean, there's still a lot of those players are still there that we've played in the last couple years, and I'm sure they're thinking the same thing with Kenya and Kelsey and Mariah and Sydney. But I mean, they're SEC, and there's a reason they're SEC. They're big, they're strong, they play really hard. But we've played them the last couple years, and then they've been some pretty interesting games. So hopefully we can go over there and play as well as we can and hit some shots and have a chance to win the basketball game.
Now, unfortunately, in tournaments, you never know who you're going to play. I know people at home always think that you get a little inside head start. That's not the case. You didn't find out until about 10 or 11 last night, Monday night. So immediately you go to work. I guess take fans through, how does that process work when you find out last night, when everybody else is probably getting ready to go to bed, who you're going to play, and in less than really 48 hours, you're going to be out there on the floor?
Yeah, well, they email you once they put the bracket together, and the NIT people can't put the bracket together until the NCAA is done. So that got done yesterday evening, and then I got an email about 10 o'clock, and then you're into go mode. You're pulling up their stats, you're trying to get film, you're putting a scouting report together, and then Missouri wanted to play on Wednesday, so. Then we have to notify the bus company. We've got to make sure we got a hotel locked up over there. We've got to find a practice time. We've got to figure out when we're going to travel. So we were here till after midnight on Monday night, and just trying to put dot all the I's and cross all the T's and get ready to travel. I mean, there's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes, as you know, that have to be done before we can ever put our product out on the floor. So, it's all about just being ready and having things ready to go when you get over there, and then it's just another game of basketball. You just got to go play.
Now, you talk about product. Your girls, I don't even know, and how many of them, someone may not even know that you're playing Missouri yet. I'm assuming they all do with the technology age, but they haven't seen any film yet. You guys probably the first time you'll do some film work is maybe a little bit on the bus, but more than likely when you get over there, and since you've been working really on Eastern the last really about a week, I'm going to guess, since you came back a little bit during spring break. Today and your shoot around tomorrow will be all focused, I'm assuming, just on Missouri?
Sure, yeah, and as we've watched film, as the coaching staff has watched film, they press a little bit, they play some man, they play a little bit of zone. So, the practices leading up to now that we know who our opponent is will be about how do we attack their zone and make sure we know what we're doing press offensive-wise and putting a game plan together as far as tempo and those type of things, what plays will work, what plays we've got to watch for them. So, we've been practicing 5 or 6 days now, and we've had some good practices. There's high energy and enthusiasm. So now you're right, we have to go concentrate on who we're getting ready to play and take a look at some things that we're going to need to do in order for us to be successful.
Now, the fact that you guys played Missouri a couple times in the last couple years, a couple years ago actually beat Missouri here in Lance Arena. You lost a tough game over to them last year. Their head coach, Robin Pinchton, somebody that was at Illinois State. So you're familiar with kind of, I guess, what she wants to do in terms of the offense and defense. Does that help you prepare a little bit? But I guess at the same time, does that help them prepare that she knows us as well?
Sure. And I've known Robin for a long time. Her and I go back to the NAIA days way back. And, the thing about her clubs is they're going to play really, really hard. They've got a high basketball IQ. And, they're going to do what they do. And they set a lot of screens, and they've got shooters. They've got some inside players. They're not any taller than us, but they're probably a little bit stronger than us, probably a little bit, wider than us as far as their physicality, and they're going to play really, really physical. So, again, they know us a little bit, we know them, and then now it becomes almost like a chess match. It's a strategy. You have to put a game plan together, and then you've got to be able to have adjustments in case some things don't work.
Now, you guys are going to play over there on Wednesday night. Their men's team plays on Thursday night, so I don't know how many other fans will travel to kind of follow their men's team in the NCAA tournament.
Right.
Hopefully they'll have a good crowd. I know you guys like
Sure.
to play. It's a big arena.
Yeah.
You're going to have a senior-laden team that now 4 years they've been in the NCAA tournament, or in postseason tournament, trying to do something that no team at Eastern has ever done. Is there any extra special motivation speeches you're going to have to give them, or do you think they already know that, have that desire?
We've talked about that, and you know, that's something, you know, we had a little checklist at the beginning of the year, some things we want to try to accomplish, and certainly winning a postseason game for the first time in school's history would be really a special tribute to our players and all the hard work they put in. So yeah, we know what's there, and set a little history if we can get a win, not only to win a first postseason game, but also to beat an SEC team would be big for our program. So, you know, we're just excited about going over and playing a good quality club, and then and see if we can't do some damage by ourselves.
Now, when we talk about the seniors that are be out there on the floor, it's been kind of a record-setting season. It's also been a great season for you. Congratulations on being Coach of the Year. I know we haven't had a show since you did that, because that was announced after we had taped the ones going into the tournament. To Kenya Nixon, within reach of breaking the all-time scoring record here at Eastern. I think she's about 13 or 14 points short. I know that's not going to play into how the game goes out, but if it gets to a point where she's going to break the record, are you going to make sure she kind of gets the ball?
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, how often do you get to, you know, break a scoring record? So, you know, we've had an eye on it for the last couple of weeks, and you know, I think subconsciously she's had an eye on it. You know, to Kenya is all about winning, and she'd much rather win a game than score points, but she also knows that she's got to score points for us to win. So it's kind of an ironic situation where we need her to score, and she wants to score, but she also wants to win. So yeah, we're definitely going to keep an eye on it. But yeah, there's been a lot of, you know, Mariah King and Sydney Mitchell went over the 1,000-point mark this year, and Kelsey Wiss set the all-time most three-pointers made in the history of the program, and then Sydney Mitchell's only 13 rebounds short of 700. I mean, we've made more threes in a season than any other team in the history. So I mean, we could just go on. We could do a whole show just on that. We've done a lot of good things this year, and I just hope we can continue that. Now,
you guys will play on Wednesday, but they also tell you to pack your bags because you can continue to go on the road. The difference is that the winner of this game will play the winner of the Illinois-Miami of Ohio game. So you guys, if you win and Illinois wins, one, you could get to play them. There's a possibility you could play somebody here in Lance Arena, so still another opportunity at a home game down the road. But you wouldn't actually have to go on the road. You'd come probably home, go to class, take a shower in your own house, and then go on. Do you even look forward to the next opponents, or is it just one and done mentality that, hey, you win and survive? I guess.
I mean, I think right now we're concentrating on Missouri, and then because Illinois and Miami of Ohio don't play until Thursday night, so we'll have time to kind of sit down and take a look at that, and then the second round games are either Saturday, Sunday, or Monday, so we'll have a day or two to prepare depending on where the game is and who we're playing. So yeah, we're going to come home regardless, because if we can win the game on Wednesday night, the next game would be back to the east, so we'll be fine. So fortunately, we got a good draw as far as that goes, and. But, you know, it's been tough over the last several years in the postseason. We played a Big East, we played a Big 12, and now we're playing an SEC. So, you know, those are tough challenges. But, you know, I really like our team and really like our chances to go over there and play with a veteran club and see what we can do.
Well, Coach, it's been fun to watch you this year, fun to watch this team. Best of luck. Hopefully we're talking next week about a third-round game. That's what the next conversation would be about. Once again, this show airs on Wednesday night. You can hear the game on Hitmix 88.9, 6:45 will be the pregame show, 7 o'clock will be the tip-off. Best of luck to you and all the seniors over there, Coach. It's been great having you on this season. Be right back with This Week in EIU Athletics.
Panther fans, here's what's going on in Panther Athletics. Panther baseball now 3-14 on the season and 0-5 to start OVC play. They lost 7-5 at Evansville and lost 2 games at Coach's Stadium to Austin Peay, 11-3 and 5-2. The Panthers took on Southern Illinois on Tuesday. For the result and stats of that game, check out EIUPanthers.com. Softball is now 13-8 on the season, 3-0 to start OVC play. They won 3 out of their final 4 games at the Rebel Games in Kissimmee, Florida. And in their first series of OVC play, they won 3 games at Austin Peay, 6-2, 7-1, and 6-0. Women's tennis is 6-2 on the season and 1-0 to start OVC play. They won 7-0 at Southeast Missouri State. Also in action on Tuesday this week, men's tennis is at Chicago State. For results and stats of that meet, you can check out EIUPanthers.com. Men's golf was down in Jacksonville, Florida as they took part in the Butler Invites. They finished 12th in the Butler Benbow Invite and 6th place in the Butler Bulldog Invite. Oscar Borda was the top finisher in both tournaments for the Panthers. Women's golf also down in Jacksonville, Florida for the Butler Invites. They finished 7th overall at the Benbow Invite and 3rd place at the Butler Bulldog Invite. Lauren Williams and Tiffany Wolf were the top finishers for the Panthers in those two meets. Now here's what to watch for this week. On Wednesday, women's basketball takes part in the first round of the WNIT. They're in Columbia, Missouri to take on the Tigers of Missouri. You can hear that game on Hitmix 88.9 WEIU. On Thursday, men's and women's tennis are in Edwardsville, Illinois, as they take on OVC rival SIU Edwardsville. On Friday, Panther baseball begins a 3-game series in Normal, Illinois against Illinois State. On Saturday, a full slate of action for Panther athletic teams. Men's and women's tennis at Darling Courts as they take on Murray State with action starting at 10 o'clock. Women's golf begins a 3-day run at the SIU Saluki Tournament in Carbondale, Illinois. Softball with a doubleheader at OVC rival Eastern Kentucky beginning at noon. And baseball with the rubber game against Illinois State at 2 o'clock. On Sunday, men's and women's tennis take on Austin Peay at Darling Courts with action starting at 10 o'clock. Women's golf with day 2 at the SIU Saluki Tournament. Softball is in Moorhead, Kentucky for a doubleheader with OVC rival Moorhead State starting at 11 o'clock. And baseball wraps up their 3-game series at Illinois State. On Monday, women's golf wraps up competition at the SIU Saluki Tournament. Next Tuesday, baseball takes on the Billikens of St. Louis at 3 o'clock at Coaches Stadium. Next Wednesday, softball is in Indianapolis, Indiana for a doubleheader with the Butler Bulldogs starting at 2 o'clock. For Panther Sports Talk, I'm Ramin Kabasioun.
Welcome back to Panther Sports Talk. We're going to stay in basketball mode right now as we're going to show some highlights, some of the best of the season highlights from the men's basketball season, which ended at the OVC tournament a couple weeks ago. We appreciate you watching this week's Panther Sports Talk right here in WIU. A reminder, you can listen to the women's basketball game on Wednesday night, 6:45 on Hitmix 88.9. It'll be a 7 o'clock tip-off at Missouri in the women's NIT. We're going to wrap up this week's show with a piece done by a student here at WIU on Jade Riebold, the recent All-American selection in the women's pole vault. She finished second at the NCAA championships. She was an Olympic qualifier last year. This piece covers part of her Olympic trial experience and also her season up to date, earning All-American honors. Thanks for watching Panther Sports Talk.
Redshirt senior here at EIU, and this is my second year pole vaulting here. I transferred here last year from the University of Georgia. I was a gymnast for 13 years and I ended up quitting because of a back injury. I didn't think I was going to be able to vault anymore because of my back. Basically my whole world was like shattered because I wanted to make the Olympics for gymnastics, so that's another reason why I started pole vaulting. I just wanted something else to try to be the best at. I've been going around for 3 weeks trying to make a height for the Olympic trials, and at that point I thought that I was in, but 3 girls had jumped in front of me, so I was trying to get a higher height a couple weeks before the trials, and I ended up not jumping any higher, but finding out the day before that my height had made it in, my height of 14.2, and I was in South Carolina and they called me and said that I had made it in, and I did my best I could to make it out to Oregon, and I got up there and they did not let me compete because I was late, so I had to watch them in the stands and I should have been out there.
They told her the night before that she had got into the trials, and I tried reaching her on the phone, but she already went to bed, and I've had different coaches calling me. And so in the morning, her and her mom tried to get a flight out there and couldn't find anything that would get them out there in time. And they had a rain delay, and so her and her mom ended up flying out there, and because she didn't check in on Friday, they didn't let her compete, so.
USATF just decided, since I was late, that they wouldn't let me compete. But it did get rained out for 2 days. They moved it 2 days back, and I still asked, and they said that there's a policy saying if you're late, you can't compete, so they did not let me on the runway. But
it was really kind of a sketchy situation that, you know, I didn't even feel like she had enough notification to even make it out all the way to Eugene, Oregon. I took it as there needs to be some changes for qualifying standards, qualifying meets, regulations on what makes it in and what doesn't, and also there needs to be, you know, an allowable time period for people to have, you know, to make plans to book a flight and get hotel arrangements and, you know, get everything set up to make it to Olympic trials. You know, you can't expect somebody to be able to do that the night before the trials. So, I mean, I just feel like there needs to be some changes and a little bit more organization. So, you know, it was pretty hard on her that she didn't even get the chance to compete. You know, she showed up, they hadn't even competed yet, but because she didn't check in on Friday, which they let her know Thursday night that she got in, they didn't let her compete. So it was really difficult on her. I know she had a hard summer this year dealing with the fact that she, you know, made it in but didn't even get a chance to compete.
It was the worst feeling in the world. I wanted to be out there. I made the height to get in. I did everything I could, and there's nothing else I could have done to change that.
The Olympic trials comes around once every 4 years. It's really hard to tell somebody, you know, it's okay, you know, you'll move past it, you'll make it to the next one. It's really hard to tell somebody that, but the main thing I told her is, you know, keep doing what you're doing, stay healthy, and you'll be there in 4 years, and hopefully you'll be a contender by that point.
I lost a lot of weight after the Olympic trials, and I was just going through a lot because I was upset that I wasn't able to be out there and compete, because I had been looking forward to that the last 4 years, and just went to the doctor and they said that I had just stressed myself out a lot. And
that's how much it means to her that, you know, that was a big goal that she had last year, make it to the trials, and when she doesn't reach her goals, it's difficult on her. She takes it a lot harder than a normal athlete, you know, and, you know, to be at a higher level, you got to be a little bit different. So it was very difficult on her, you know, and I try to console her, but eventually we just got to the point where we're like, you know, got to let it go. You know, you got to focus on the next Olympic trials. You know, you can't let this, you know, hold you back anymore. And I think she's moved on from it, and we're looking towards this year. We're looking for, you know, indoor nationals, outdoor nationals, and outdoor USA championships. And
I did complete my dream. I did make the Olympic trials. I just didn't get the experience that I wanted. So next Olympic trials, I'm gonna go out there and kick some butt. That I really want to clear is 16 feet. That is about a half a foot higher than the American record, and I also just want to jump as high as I possibly can, whether that means breaking the world record or the collegiate record or All-American record. I just want to jump as high as I can and not stop till I have to. I would describe myself as motivated, and I'm an easygoing person, and I'm very goal-driven.
To the point where sometimes I have to pull her away from the track sometimes and tell her to go home and rest her body and take it easy sometimes, because I mean I haven't ever seen a girl that wants it more than her. She puts everything she has into pole vaulting, and it means a lot to her. I'm
really disciplined. I'm always in bed by like 9 or 10 o'clock. The other night I stayed up till 11 and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know how people stay up this late. I was just so tired. I always try to get as much sleep as I can. And I'll write before practice my goals, and after practice I'll write down everything that I need to prepare for the next day and the next meet.
So the main thing I always tell my athletes is do the best you can. At the end of the day, if you do your best you can, I'm gonna accept it, whether we're at conference, if you didn't do so well or you didn't do well. The preparation leading from August all the way up till the end of February or the end of May, whenever we have conference, that if you've done the best you can up to that point and you competed hard and as well as you could at the meet, that's all I can ask for as a coach. I don't want my athletes to feel any extra pressure beyond that.
Kyle Ellis, who's my coach now, and he helped me train for the Olympic trials last year, and I couldn't be happier here. As a vaulter, I don't think that I would have jumped anything close to what I jumped last year if it wasn't for him going out and helping me extra. And
as you get higher as a pole vaulter, the PRs are harder and more difficult to come by. So a 6-inch improvement in a year is good. And when I told her when she came here is, this is going to be the hardest year, as far as pole vaulting goes, because we're going to change a lot. I mean, we changed the way she ran with the pole, we changed the way she held the pole, we changed, her sprint mechanics, we changed the way she planted the pole. We just made a lot of difficult changes last year, and it was a hard season. It's very stressful on the athlete to go all through those changes, and they don't always come through at the meet time. You kind of go back to what is comfortable. So you're trying to make this change, and you're trying to get it to stay, and it's challenging. And already this year, it's so much easier. Like, we already have those changes in place. Now we're just fine-tuning a couple of things. So I can already tell mentally it's a lot less stressful on her already this year.
Make sure when we do stuff like this, write it down on the board. So whatever you get today, write it on the sheet.
We practice probably 3 to 4 hours a day, depending on if we do extra that day or not. And we also get in the pool in the rec room, and we do underwater pole vaulting as a drill. I
really study the event as far as like the biomechanics and science behind the sport, and we do a lot of drills where we break it down to the fundamentals. And basically, I take the vaulters and we go backwards and we build a foundation, and we try to move to the more advanced, components after that. But we really start at the most basic fundamental aspects of pole vaulting and kind of build up from there.
Once we get throughout that second week in January, we're going to train hard again. We're going to start increasing the weight, lowering the reps, working on some like pure speed, running pursuit runs, sled pulls, stuff like that. Okay.
I think I'm a pretty honest coach. I don't, I give positive feedback when I feel like there needs to be positive feedback. I give negative feedback when there's negative feedback. I tell it the way it is. I don't really sugarcoat it all the time. I feel like you have to be honest with your athletes, and you have to tell them when they're doing a good job and when you see hard work. But as a coach, you always want more from the athletes.
Every time I pick up the pole, I just want to jump as good as I can jump, and my goal for this indoor season is to break the indoor collegiate record of 14:11. To follow my heart, that means to keep pole vaulting and completing my dream is really important to me, and I don't want to back out of that. Everyone goes through hardships, and that's what makes you a better person and also a better pole vaulter. And just knowing that when I make the next Olympics and when I do good this year, I'm going to look back and know that I got through all of that stuff.